my name is Holly from My Daily HAED. Today is Wednesday, April the 3rd, 2024. I hope you all had a good Easter. And let's just start off. My husband came back with this Mini Birds and Blooms by Aimee Stewart. He had it fully finished. It's fully finished now. He had it framed for me yesterday. He basically thrifted the frame and just got them to frame the picture and put the mat in for me. So that's lovely. Secondly, I finished QS Tranquil Tulip. Oops, there we go. I finished this on the 27th, I think. Yeah, I finished it on the 27th. Sorry. the light is behind my notebook and I can't really see it properly. I started this the 31st of December, but I didn't properly start working on it until, what was it, month before last, I think February, after I finished. I can't even remember the last one I finished before this. But anyway, I think it's ever so cute. It only came out to be 6.5 by 4 3/4 inches. So it's teeny tiny. And it's, what, 16 by 12 centimeters roughly. So it's come out. We're gonna frame it, and then the young lady, we're giving it to her birthdays in the summertime, so that will be going to her soon. Put that there. Santa and animals. I was trying to find a nice picture of this just this morning, and I couldn't find anything bigger than this that I've got. This is Christmas Scene, Santa and Animals by Dona Gelsinger. I'm stitching this on 22 count hardanger. And that seems humongous after 28 counts. I was actually considering restarting this, but this is very confetti heavy, and it's taken me so long just to get to this point. It's currently 6.81%, so I'm not going to restart it. It will be huge by the time it's done, but on the other side of it, it will only be out for like one month a year. So even if it's a wee bit fuzzy, I won't mind. It's not something I don't think we'll be leaving it out. This 22 count hardanger, I find it very floppy to work with, and I've been putting this in a Q-snap so that I can stabilize the fabric enough to work on, even though it still loosens up a lot. Now, the stamped kit, Welcome Fall. I had a bit of a major glitch with it. I don't know if you can see, but you can see. You see where all that dark colors there? Well, when I've been sick the last week or the last few weeks, I stitched all of this without realizing that I had picked up. I didn't realize I was stitching the wrong color. So when I realized this a few nights ago, I almost cried because I've been so ill, and to find out that all that dark blue that should be up in here is not there. I tried pulling some threads out. They're all intertwined at the back. Also, this is like cheap thread. It's like Chinese thread or something. Whatever cheap thread it is, it's very fuzzy and it intertwines quite easily. So I've put this on the naughty step. At one point I just wanted to throw it away. My husband's like, no, just finish it, nobody will ever know. And I'm like, but that is obviously different from this up here. So it means that it looks like I will have to use the pattern, either cut all the thread out, that if I can figure out what the thread is, I mean because once the stamped kit, once you cover it up, it's and the pattern is so difficult to tell. And I think that's one reason I got confused, is because the paper pattern is different from what these symbols are, and because I've stitched with this curled up, I've been using that paper pattern to figure it out. But you can see where you have the different, you got the white, well, it looks like white, light blue, and dark blue now, or blue, and that's the same thing that was over here. And basically I picked up the wrong color. I had a high temperature, and I just picked up the wrong color, and I was like, oh, well, that's the color I need. And I kept thinking, well, it's not looking exactly, but honestly I was just so ill I didn't even think about it. So I have to figure out if I'm going to leave it like my husband wants me to leave it and just continue stitching, which I don't think I could do, or pick out all the stitches or try to figure out all the stitches that I stitched wrong. And there were hundreds and hundreds, well over 1,000 stitches, because this was like a week's worth of stitching, or stitch over the stitches that are already there with the correct color, if I can figure out which ones are, or, which is something I'd hate to do, and my husband would be really grumpy with me if I did it, because it's a waste of money. It's just throw it away. And honestly, I almost threw it away that night when I realized how bad it was, and it was very dismaying. But I'm more apt to think that I'll do my best to fix it and continue on from that, and just park it up as a learning curve. I don't know what to do. If you have any advice, I'll be willing to listen to it. It doesn't mean I'll take it back. Next, I did a new start. The next day, after I found out that I'd stitched everything wrong on Welcome Fall, I started to start Mini Serenity Lane by Dona Gelsinger. I stitched it on 18 count. This is where I got to, on very stiff, but I was just whipping along on that, and it was lovely. I was really enjoying the 18 count after 22 count Hardanger and the 28 count Tranquil Tulip. However, if you look, that is supposed to be a window, and I kept thinking that looks a bit fuzzy. And after Secret Garden by Aimee Stewart, the Mini Secret Garden by Paine Free Crafts, I was like, I've got to look it up. So I finally went on today, after 3 days of stitching on this. So I started on Easter, because I thought with the church and the spring flowers that it was a perfect thing to start in the spring and on Easter. Anyway, I started looking it up, looked up the various different, on HAED they've got a gallery, so I was looking it up on the gallery, and there's too many details in this. If you don't stitch it on the smaller count, it just looks like blobs. And I particularly love the sign. It says Serenity Lane. I love the wreath, and I want the church to look like a church. I don't want it to just look like a brick colored blob. So I've ordered some fabric for it. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this 18 count. I can't throw it away. The thrifty housewife in me just can't just the thought of throwing this away, especially when you have that much fabric. I just can't bear the thought of throwing away, so I'll probably pick all that out and go from there. So the company I ordered it from, and the last time I ordered from them, it took a few weeks for it to come. I'm willing to, I'm not desperate for it. I'm willing to wait 2 or 3 weeks for it, for the price that I got it for, because it was several. I've bought a massive bit of fabric. Got a massive bit of fabric that will be big enough not just for this project, but quite a few, and I'll talk about them because I'll talk about it in a minute. Well, I'll say it right now. Is all my other cross stitches that I have mostly kit up. There's only 2 that I haven't got kitted up with threads, but I had them all kitted up with the fabric. However, going back and looking on HAED and looking on the internet for the different pictures that I was doing, so I only had 3 that I was kitted up that I'm happy to go ahead and leave on the fabric that I've got. They were on 22 count hardanger or the 20 count. So after looking up at the fabric at the stitched pieces, I'm looking at it on the 28 count versus the 25 count versus the 18 count. Excuse me, it wasn't that much difference. So I've decided to leave those over, or 2 of them are left over. One of them I swapped out some of the fabric that I took out of my other projects that I've started. But anyway, my whole point of saying this is that I bought a piece of fabric big enough that I can put 8 of my projects to be kitted up, including Serenity Lane. I can put them all on this big piece of 28 count fabric. To be honest, after what happened with Secret Garden, stitching 80-something thousand stitches and having it come out looking at like blobs everywhere, I just couldn't bear the thought of it, even though I'd already put 1,243 stitches into Serenity Lane. I was at 1.96, so I was almost at 2%, but I can't bear the thought of stitching any more on it and it come out very blurry. After the disappointment of Secret Garden, I was looking at it again today. It's got so many elements to it that back stitching it would be a monumental task. So I don't know what I spent a year of my life on Secret Garden HAED, mini Secret Garden HAED, and having it come out so badly after stitching on it for a year, I just can't bear the thought of doing that another project like that. So my next start, because as much as I love Santa and animals, it is quite confetti heavy. So at the moment I'm trying to aim for about 300 stitches a day on it. Some days I'm only getting 200, whatever. But because it is literally changing every few stitches, sometimes doing 1 stitch and changing, doing 1 stitch, and because of the 22 count hardanger, the fabric's quite loose, so it is a beast to work on at times. But anyway, so between Welcome Fall being on the naughty step and Santa and animals is something that I get to a certain point and I have to switch out from it. I do have yarn projects. I've got my crochet and my knitting, but I really enjoy my pattern keeper projects where I can just stitch in my little columns and it satisfies something for me. Anyway, so what I was thinking about doing is starting Tiki Beach. Is it Tiki Beach? Yeah. And this is an Aimee Stewart. Now I looked at this and I looked it up on the HAED website, and look, it's quite defined here, but all the stitched pieces that I found of it, they all had a bit of blurriness to it. And this, I've got 20 count on it for it. So because it's such an odd shaped piece of fabric, I was very lucky to find it, an offcut for it on Lakeside Needleworks, a few years ago, I think, or whenever I kitted this up, which was ages ago. I found a piece of fabric that fitted perfectly. It's a 20 count fabric. So I've decided to go ahead and start this until I can restart Serenity Lane, Mini Serenity Lane. This is, I think, 58,000 stitches. Serenity Lane is 68,000, I think. I don't know, people who've been here for quite a while, I had this crocheted blanket that I decided to frog because I'd messed up on it, and it was completely, it started out, I think, as anyway, I've restarted it as a granny stripe, not as the Attic 24, I think it was a cupcake stripe blanket, and it had 2 solid stripes, and then it had the granny stripes, and the pattern was that you had to add on one 2-row thing, you had to add, and on the other 2-row you had to take away, and I just got confused on it, and one of the sides was just so wavy, so I took everything out and magic knot everything back together, and now I've started this, and this will be a birthday present for a young lady I know this summer, and I've come along and just doing the granny stripe is coming along. I'm using the same color pattern that Lucy at Attic 24 did, but I'm just doing it in a granny stripe pattern, and I'm loving it. What I've been doing most days is doing one color stripe, set of 2 colors, 2 rows, one color, 2 rows every day. And some days when my husband and I sit down and watch a quiz show or something together, we rarely ever do it, but we have been doing it a lot more lately. I've been sitting down and doing that, or doing my knitting. I finished a pair of my first ever heel flap and gusset socks. I meant to put them on a thing for you, but I've got them there. So I learned how to do a new heel. So these are, they don't look very nice, but they'll be lovely. I finished well over a month ago, but it's been so long since I visited with you that it's crazy. I found, now I bought this after the first project, which is that one, my Aurora Borealis cabin. Let's see. You see that Aurora Borealis cabin? That's my first ever full coverage project. I bought this thinking, oh, I'll do this afterwards. I love this. I bought it one thing, and they said, oh, we're out and we're not going to be able to do it. So I found this again a few months later, and I bought it, and I packed it away before we moved out of our house a few years ago. Well, I packed this away, and I thought I'd left it in storage. And a month or 2 ago, I actually was going through some things here in the house, in the flat, the apartment, and found this. So my biggest problem will be trying to get this onto Pattern Keeper. I mean, if I have to, I'll do it on the paper, but I would prefer to do it on the Pattern Keeper. So I'm looking for, I don't know when I'll start this. What I have done is taken, because it was kitted with 14 count, and since it was kitted with 14 count, I took the 14 count fabric out, and I've replaced it, I think, with 20 count fabric. So that will be ever so nice. Lots of good news. My husband got his bus license back finally, almost a year after the surgery that caused an eye bleed. He's got his license back, and that's a major blessing. And he's got a new job. He's now in the process of doing his notice. His current part-time work insisted on a month's notice after when he notified him that he got his license back and he had a new job. He's now in the process of finishing off his time at the part-time place at the hotel where he worked. And he was doing some cover for them. So he literally, on this past Sunday night, he finished 11 straight nights of working at the hotel. So it was one of those things where he found out the week before Easter, he found out that he got his license back, and he notified the hotel. So he's only got 3 more weeks left, I think. So that will be great for that. My husband and I both have had pneumonia this last 3 or 4 weeks. I'm still recovering from it. He got it first, and then he shared it with me, as good husbands and wives tend to share things, don't they? So I'm still recovering from it. He's pretty much done. So that's a blessing that we're both recovering from it. Basically, my husband found out that he was my husband found he had mandatory vacation time, so he had like a week and a half off from his part-time job that he couldn't work because he had to use it up before the end of March. And of course, a couple of days after he has his mandatory illness, a mandatory vacation time, he ended up getting pneumonia. I followed it like 2 days later and got it. And it was a cold, and it turned into pneumonia. So it's been a long thing. And then he recovered enough to go back to, and he had those 11 nights that he had to work, and there was no one else to take it. Fortunately, he was recovered enough to go back to work. It's been a very busy 6 weeks for one thing or another. It's very gloomy, very rainy here. There was one day that I was well enough to walk down the stairs to go out into the back garden, and I took my crochet with me, and I sat out in the sunshine with the birds twittering, and they're doing their springtime business, and it was lovely. Anyway, my voice is going. And to the people that I know have been ill, I really and truly hope that you get better soon. I have full sympathy with you, especially since I know several of you have had pneumonia. I have full sympathy for you, and I completely understand. I'm wishing you all the best. I truly hope you had a joyous Easter. Anyway, I will wish you lots of sunshine, hugs, and good health.